Hello and thank you for tuning in. Well, today I'm finally going to start on my cabinet project. So I've been collecting parts up here at flea markets, estate sales and things like that, and I think I've got everything I need to actually make this thing. So what am I going to do? Well, I need a cabinet for outside storage for when I change my oil and things like that. So I'm basically going to make an outdoor storage cabinet. I'm going to try to make it look like a vintage gas pump or something similar. It won't really look very accurate, but hey, you know what? Close enough. It's also going to serve a dual purpose. I'll run an electrical cord to it, so it'll have a drop light and power source for out on the porch. And I'm going to put a light on the top, like not a globe light, but a light that I got at a yard sale. That will kind of act as a night light, because when I walk out of here at 10 p.m. sometimes, it's pretty dark out. There's no real lights around, so I'll have a little soft light coming from this thing on a timer, so it'll come on for a few hours every night and light up the front porch. All right, so that's our mission. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get some wood. I'm going to build a base for it. This is a gun cabinet, but it was not meant to be outside, so I don't want it sitting on cold, wet concrete. So I'm going to cut a wooden base and also try to build something for it so it will look more Art Deco. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So, oh, hey Muggsy. So I don't want this sitting right on the concrete. So I'm going to build a platform for it to sit on, and then I'm gonna get some piece of trim to go around it to make it look like it's all part of it. Unfortunately, this pinstriping and stuff on it, if I repaint this, which I'm thinking of doing because it's gonna be outside, I wanna put an extra coat of paint on it. I'll lose the pinstriping, but it won't really make sense with the theme I'm going to go with anyway. So first thing I'm gonna do is cut some wood for the base. And then from there, I guess we'll take the stickers off and maybe cut the trim piece if I've got anything in the garage that will work. I probably do. All right. So that's our mission. Let's get busy. Right, Muggs? Muggsy's ready. I'm gonna cut 45-degree angles, and hopefully I've got enough. This is pressure treated. And hopefully I've got enough to go around the entire base, which I should. The front width is about 21. So we don't want to cut it right at 21 because we want it to fit under it. So we'll probably cut it at 19. And then we should be able to go under it and have a lip to about there. So let's see how that works out. Let me go cut that piece. Okay, I have just enough here, so let's see if we're gonna be good. Let me set these pieces up. Well, we're good. I think I can take another inch off this. It's a little too wide. So I'm gonna trim that down a little bit, and then we should be good to go to make the two. All right, I trimmed about another inch off this piece as well. So it'll fit under the cabinet better. So you can see we've got a good base here. So I'm gonna go look. I've got a lot of trim in my other garage. I'm gonna look for something that's about 3 inches or less that will be able to wrap around here, because this doesn't look finished. It just looks like a cabinet sitting on a base. So let me see, I'll be back. It is hot today, so I'm kicking on my fan. So you're gonna hear that in the background of the video. I'll try to remove it as much as possible, but I've got the garage door open and it's hot. All right, I found some stuff. This is PVC, but that's fine. I'm gonna paint it anyway. It'll fit right above that and tie this base together. So yeah, let's cut that, see how that's gonna work. Now this, I have to be more exact with the dimensions, or else I'm gonna have gaps. And it's not wood, it's PVC, so I can kind of mitigate it with caulking, but since I'm going to probably paint it, and not white, probably silver or something like that, I've got to be very, very tight with the dimensions, because it's not going to be attached to this, it's going to be glued right onto that. Gonna have to use primer on these things. I can't expect paint to stick too well to PVC. Okay, so I'm going to use Bright Coat on top of this primer. Bright Coat generally looks better on top of gloss black, but I think we'll be okay. This is not exactly a high profile piece. And actually the PVC should work in our favor with this, because you won't see any wood grain here. So on the very bottom, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I may paint it, but maybe not. So first thing though, I'm going to use a coat of Helmsman. Hopefully this brush is good. It's been sitting here for a long time. I don't need to be very careful with this, but I do want to put a good coat all around it. It'll help preserve it, I guess, but it is pressure treated, so it really doesn't need it. But if I do paint it, it may make it easier to paint. And if I don't paint it, it will look better. Let's see how lucky we are at getting these stickers off. That one came off like it was made to come off. That's good. Let's hope this one does the same. Looks like it's going to. Oh yeah. Great, great. And there's one in the back, which looks like it's not going to come off easy at all. I'm not sure, this doesn't look like it's... Well, that's key ID. Well, none of that matters because there's no lock anymore. If you're a fan of the channel, you have probably seen me use this. Electric shave is very good at helping you get labels off. It dissolves the glue much faster than like Goo Gone. See how it's taking the yellow off too though? That's one of the risks of this. It can also remove paint, but in this case we don't really care. So now that it's soaked for a few seconds, I'm just going to use a plastic scraper. See if we can get it off. Also, this stuff smells great. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I'll file this under things I didn't think I would need to do here. All right, I got it off. This is proof. When something is done sloppy, undoing it will be probably just as sloppy. All right, so I want to make sure I've got all holes drilled and all rot holes or screw holes that I don't need filled before I paint this. So what I'm gonna do next probably is figure out where I'm gonna put the shelf. There are some holes already in here, right there. And we got two on the other side. Yeah, that looks like a good spot for the shelf actually. So yeah, I'll have to cut some plywood to make a shelf inside it, but shelf brackets shouldn't be a problem. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna raid my bin of erector set parts and find a couple of pieces that I can use as shelf brackets. Okay, so I found two of these. And so on the inside, I will be screwing these in. Let's make sure these holes will actually line up. Yep. So I'll be putting them on the inside, so like that. And then the wood shelf will just sit on top, and that should be plenty. I don't plan on putting 50 pounds on it, just a shelf. So I'm gonna have to make these screws, these holes a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm gonna be using lock washers on these to hold the screws in place. All right, so inside you've got a shelf bracket. Okay, let's see if it fits. Perfect. There's our shelf. So I will sand that down a little bit, put a coat of polyurethane on it, and we will have a shelf. And then we can start working on the cabinet, but it's getting late. I had a bit of a distraction because Brandon came over and brought that looster. He's got two of them he picked up for us to work on. I'm gonna probably keep that one, and the other one we're gonna work on for his garage. But yeah, so let me polyurethane that, and then next steps will be we'll actually start to sand, paint, and we gotta figure out the lights for the cabinet. Okay, to find the center of this top for where we're going to put the light, it's pretty easy. We're just going to use a yardstick or a ruler. I'm going to put a line right there, and we're going to do the same from this angle and put a line right there, and there's our center. So if you can see where the lines intersect, that is our center. So we're going to drill right through there. So I'm going to paint the surround for the light fixture farm implement orange. Hopefully the paint will stick. I don't think I should need primer since I'm painting a painted surface, but orange is notoriously finicky on what it'll cover, so we'll see. It seems to be covering this really well. Now I'm going to drill a hole for the fake gas pump hose. So I'm using these size connectors, and what I've got here is a metal hole drill. Now, I've never used one of these before, so I do have goggles on because I don't know if it's going to be shredding metal particles or not. That will be running from the bottom, and so out there, may as well center it, not that it really matters that much. Go in right about there. let's see what it does. Well, that worked fantastic. 4 stars. Yeah, I'm good. You got it. Alright, so we got our hole. I gotta take care of some painting, but this whole thing's getting painted anyway. So for the power cord for this, for the top light and for the gas pump face light, I'm using this. So I'll be able to make a plug for the ceiling light to go right in here. And if I want to plug anything else in, if I want to run a drop light or something, I can plug it into here. And it's got USB and USB-C, which is what I will use to power the, I guess, the gas dial light. So, all right, I've got the picture frame here. And I've got the decal. And so I'm going to kind of line this all up. Luckily, I've got 2 lines for the sides and 1 line for the top. So if I actually use that line to level it, it's almost a perfect fit for this. Okay, the holes are drilled in the frame, and I'm hoping that I scuffed the paint enough below the frame that I can see where to actually put the holes. Let's verify these holes are good size. They are perfect size, actually. Place. So a little trick there is tape can hold your drill from moving around on metal when you cut it. I'm just going to use some JB Weld, which actually works really well for this. And it doesn't dry up like when you buy body filler and you use it and then the can dries up. This stuff lasts a little bit longer. So just put the 2 parts together, mix it up until it's a dark gray. And then put it in. Not going to be all that careful because I will be sanding it. And this stuff sands pretty easy, actually. But I don't want to have all these extra holes in the unit up here. So this frame is not a very robust material. So I'm hoping if by sealing it with paint, it will help preserve it. Hey everyone, just a brief interruption here. If you're enjoying this content and you'd like to support my channel, and especially if you like cats, I've written a series of chapter books for ages 8 and up, fully illustrated, called Flea Biscuit and Friends. The first book in the series is Flea Biscuit Finds a Home, followed by Flea Biscuit Summer Vacation, and finally, Flea Biscuit's Magic Christmas. They're available at all local booksellers as well as on Amazon.com. I will post a link in the video description. And hey, that's my pitch. Back to the video. Hello, and we are back. I've got the whole afternoon to work on this, so let's look at where we're at, and then we'll decide what we're going to do next. Right, Mudsy? Yeah, we've got the garage door open, so I expect all sorts of visitors. All right, so where we left off, we had plugged some of the holes. There's still a few holes. There's a couple on each side, here and here. I'm not gonna plug those yet. I'm gonna paint probably first. We've got the holes for the frame. The frame is up there painted for the gauge. So I've got to sand this down, and then I'm thinking maybe adding orange trim on the edges. So I may do that. And yeah, and then we'll paint the black. I do have to put a hole in the back for the power cord, but that won't take me more than a minute. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll get this thing outside and do some painting, because it's not great painting weather, but I don't think it's gonna rain. But if we just do the orange first, that gives us plenty of time to check it. All right, I've wiped it down with acetone, and I've got an idea to not just paint the entire cabinet black, but to paint orange here, orange top, orange down the sides and the bottom, and the rest black. So I'm gonna do the orange first. Not worried about primer. The cabinet is pretty much painted. So the real question will be how well the orange will cover, how many coats it's going to take, but I do have 2 cans of this. This paint is really good at running. Well, I kind of ran out of paint before I had a chance to actually finish it. I got parts of it done. That top I'm not going to have enough. Looks like that's going to take at least half a can just on its own, because this paint does not cover too well. I did get the 3 sides done, and I got that top piece done, but I did not get this bottom done with enough. I ran out. Well, I went on a run. This is the paint I used, Husqvarna orange. And this, what I found, is Allis Chambers orange. Cap-wise, they look nearly identical. I'm sure they're just slightly off, but it should be close enough, and I can blend it in to finish it. I just need to do a little bit on the front and the top, but what I'll just do is I'll just get a light coat of this all around to kind of take care of it. So I'm gonna do that, and I'll be back. Okay, the orange is done, and so what's left is the black. I ended up painting the whole top with orange because that other can covered a lot better, so I was able to just paint the whole top. Not 100% sure I'm going to keep it orange. Oh, something landed on it. Oh well, I think the light's going to cover that up anyway. But yeah, so I got to do all the inner walls in black. So because I decided to make my job even harder painting this two-tone, I've decided to round the corners. And so for that, I am making a template for the masking tape. Using 3 pieces of tape and a socket. So I'm using the socket to get my edge around. I gotta make sure I don't push too hard, or else it'll bind up the tape. Okay, so let me show you how this will work. Here's our piece with the rounded corner. So when I go to paint the black, I can just line this up and that will make the black curve. We are all masked up and ready for paint. See, my rounded corner pieces are in. That'll just add a little bit of grace to the orange and black. All right, it is great painting weather today. I'm using Rust-Oleum hammered gloss black. So, yeah, this stuff covers a lot better than the orange. I got 4 cans, but I think I can probably get away with almost the whole thing with just 2. But we'll see. All right, 2 cans, did the whole cabinet, just barely. I do have another can. I'm gonna let this sit for a while. Hammered paint takes a while to settle. You can see probably in the camera a lot of lines. Most of those will just smooth out, but any that don't, I have a 3rd can and I will go over it lightly and fix it. And then we'll get the masking tape off. All right, it's been about an hour. And I think we got a pretty good finish. Maybe a little thin there, but it's still settling. But I don't want to wait too much longer to start taking the tape off. Oh, it's good. It's not taking the orange paint off that I can see. Yep, looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna take it in the workshop out of the sun, and I'm gonna take the rest of the tape off. So here's how I'm wiring up the light to go on the top of the unit. This is a USB bulb. I've got a USB to USB-C cable. I went with this cable because it's actually smaller and I didn't have to molest that. I could just go right in, and then the lens is just going to go on top of it, and then we'll mount it. As with any project like this that you're essentially making out of spare parts that you've got hanging around. Oh, are these holes not big enough? Oh. I could have sworn those holes were big enough. Yeah, they were. You just never know how everything's gonna look. So we're just feeling our way here. Now this is able to light the gauge, or the meter, I guess would be a better term. Be nice if this was an orange lens, but can't be choosy. All right, our eye is on it, the gleaming red eye. So the light, this will glow, and then the light will go down onto the meter right there, or the decal for the meter. Also, I was able to put the handle on. And I did have to do some customizations to it. And to get it to grip tight, I put some shrink tubing on the end, so it holds pretty tight. Tight enough. Nothing valuable is going in here. All right, so that's what our glass decal is going to look like. Hopefully this light will light it up enough. I do have an alternate plan if it won't, but I'm hoping this will do it. Looks pretty good. It's starting to look like a gas pump. Okay, I'm putting it low simply because I don't want whoever uses the handle rubbing on the sticker, but honestly, it's gonna look fine low. The side decals will probably look a little bit low too, because you've got your top gauge, which is taking up most of the space. But now we've got it lined up and straight. Let's see if we can get it peeled and keep it in place. I want to start with just this bottom piece. That's right, because there's no going back. Oh yeah, that looks good. Whew. Still got the side decals to do. Not looking forward to those in the least. Maybe they'll be easier, I don't know. Well, I'll file this under why must there always be a problem. I got the decal on great, but the backing or the the front does not want to let go. This should just peel right off, but it's not, and it's stretching the whole decal. So I'm hoping once I get to a certain degree, I'll be able to do it without it wrecking the rest of the decal. But man, it's peeling it right off. It is not supposed to do that, and it's wrinkling it terribly. And it's sticking right back to it. Yeah, it's like it's turned into glue. I guess maybe, oh geez, there it's even tearing the backing. I guess maybe from sitting out here so long, I may not be able to use these guys. I'm gonna try. Jeez. This stuff is not supposed to be sticky like that, but look at it, it's even taking the color off the decal. Well, that wasn't fun. It damaged the decal, and it has me pretty worried about doing the other side. But it looks good. Nice. Well, I am going to do the other side. Boy, I really wish this was orange. Don't know where I'd get one, but I'd have to pay for it, and that was basically free. But we haven't seen it lit up yet. So I've got to do the other side, and then I'm going to call it a night. Hitting it slightly with a heat gun made it come off a little easier. Not a lot easier, but a little bit. Well, that was a step that I really wasn't looking forward to. And we've got all the decals on. So tomorrow, I will start putting the accessory mounts and all that on it. But yeah, it really is starting to look like a gas pump. Pretty cool. Hey there, I hope you're enjoying this content. If you'd like to support my channel, I've now set up an eBay store where you can get autographed copies of my books, CDs, and more. I'll post the link in the video description. And now, hey, let's get busy. All right, we're back. We're in the final stages. We are in final assembly and electrical wiring stage. So, you know, let's not waste any time. It's a weeknight. I don't have that much time to work on it, but I can put a couple hours in. So let's get busy. So first off, as much as I hate to do this, for wiring this unit, we're going to cut the power cord because I don't want to drill a really big hole in the back of the cabinet to run the cord through. And I took this thing apart to look at how it was all assembled inside and came to the conclusion that this would actually be easier to do. All right. This is basic wiring. You've probably seen me do it quite a few times. And it's not hard. We're gonna trim the outer insulation on the cable. Do that with this, but Don't put any force on it. Just do it very lightly. Because you don't want to cut the inner insulation, just the outer. Not sure it's still holding on, but it is. Okay, so this will be fed through the back of the cabinet. We have to do the same for this, but I'm not going to put you through that twice. I'll be back. Okay, power strip end stripped, cord stripped. We got some crimp connectors that I think are going to work fine. So I need to feed this through the back of the unit, and then we can wire it up. Okay, first we are going to tie a knot in this, and that knot will work, depending on where we put it, to stop the cord from being pulled too hard out of the back of the unit. And we can adjust where this knot goes pretty easily. But we want to have that in place. Second, I'm going to put a large piece of shrink tubing over this, so that once I've got everything crimped, I can put that on it. All right, so I've already crimped the other side. Let's crimp these. So these are blue crimps. I'm going to obviously match white to white. And on the crimping tool, we are going to use the blue setting, which is the middle one. A little trickier not using the workbench for this, but what are you going to do? Sorry if I'm exiting frame here. It's just a little difficult because I'm doing it on the floor here and not in the on a workbench. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, so we have the opportunity to quickly test this, so I'll be right back. All right. Yep, we're good. Okay. So, let's slide our shrink tubing over our crimps. There's a big piece of shrink tubing. Let's see how much it actually goes down. Okay, it didn't go down quite as much as I would like. So I'm going to use these tie wraps, because mostly I'm using it to kind of just protect the crimps. So it did shrink pretty tight on the crimps themselves, but not on the cable. So I'm just going to use some tie wraps. This way there isn't a stress point on the crimps the shrink tubing will kind of hold everything in place. It's an extra bit of insulation that's probably not required. All right, so we're ready to mount our power strip in there. Time to mount the non-functional gas pump hose. It's only for aesthetics, but I've got these brass hose fittings, and this one rotates, which means when it's in here, the hose will move a little bit more. And I'm using these rubber rings as kind of gaskets. So first thing, let's get this thing through this hole. No idea how easy this will be because I cut that hole very, very tightly. Actually not difficult at all. So now it's just a matter of, can we get this one to thread onto it? Get this a little tighter in there. And let me get a wrench, tighten that, but there we go. I just have to hook the hose up. Okay. So we got a long hose here. How are we gonna do it? Sorry if I'm not showing you the wiring here. I actually can't. I have to move the camera, and basically it's just standard wiring. Okay, so let's make sure we got everything. We can tuck under here, and then we can test it. Okay, let me get some bulbs. Now we can test it. Okay, we're plugged in, and okay, works. These aren't the bulbs that I will be using, so let's put the correct bulbs in there, at least for now. So to keep electricity usage very low, I'm using these adapters. Forget what I got these out of. They're used, so hopefully they work. With essentially nightlight LEDs, so very, very low output. And that one works. That one does not. Okay. Okay. We've got our dome on there. On this side, I'm gonna add a spotlight. I'll be able to switch it on and off just in case I need some extra light out in the garage, out on the porch. So I've got a grommet on here. Let's see if I made the hole big enough. Close. Maybe, maybe not. Let's try it without the power cable running through it. It's very tight either way. Okay, now can we hold it in place once we put the cable through it? Yep. Okay. Just feed that through all the way. Now, because this will move. I don't want to scratch the paint. I'm putting a plastic washer in here. I can reach around here. This hole was already here. Neither of these holes is in the ideal location, but they were already here. So I'm just going to go with them. The switch is wired and it's going to go up there. Now, point here is I'm using marine switches, and what those are they have gaskets to seal them. Okay, let's test that. Power's on. We want to use the spotlight, and we're on. So clearly I don't want that to be purple, so I got to find the remote and change the color. So I should say these are actually leftover landscape lights. Oh, I can make it orange. That doesn't look very orange to me. That does. Or I can just make it white. There you go. So now I've got a spotlight. Okay, I've got the base on it, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 8 screws holding it to the base. And I've got to do the trim pieces. I'm gonna clean out a lot of metal chips and debris and sawdust in there. But yeah, we're in the final stages here. Okay, I just used barge cement. This is general purpose cement to hold that piece of trim on. I may eventually put finish nails in there, but I want to see how well it all fits. It fits really well. There's really no play anywhere. But I wanted to glue it in before I hit it with a nail gun, because that could cause it to shift. But yeah, we're almost done. All right, I just finished the last steps, which was just a little detailing and cleanup. We are done. Let's take a look. Now, here it is. Hard to believe that was that little $23 gun cabinet. It is unrecognizable. So interesting, some of the ideas that I did, like this, the orange and black paint scheme, kind of came about as I worked on it. A lot of these steps actually came about as I worked on it. But my little $3 yard sale light ends up looking as good as I thought it would, which is pretty good. I mean, it's not a globe, but it doesn't look like it doesn't belong either. It gives this pump a very unique look. So let's talk about what we got features. So this here lights up your pump meter. We've got 2 small LED bulbs in there. We've got a switch here which turns on a leftover landscaping light that I had that works well for if you need an extra bit of light out there. And non-functional pump hose and handle. I did have to pay for the hose at Amazon, but I got the handle at the flea market. Had these hooks left over. And inside we've got a shelf. We're wired. This remote is actually for the landscape light if I want to change colors. Not that I will. And we've got a functioning drop light with a power outlet. So if I want to work on something outside and I need a drop light, I've got it right here. We've got the new handle on there with a lock. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really happy with it. It's fantastic. All right, that's it. This was a really fun project. It did take a while. I'd say probably I've got, over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've probably got 3 or 4 days of time, which not 8-hour days, but like 4-hour days into it. It didn't cost me a whole hell of a lot. For the basics, the cabinet was 23 bucks. at the flea market. This was $3 at a yard sale. This was probably $1. This was a leftover landscape light that I already had. This is just a cheap old picture frame. And the expensive items were things like paint and these decals. So if I were to say how much I actually had into it, I think $200 would be a very safe bet, and that includes the power strip and all that, because I probably used 3 cans of black and 4 cans of orange to do this. Orange doesn't coat very well. Black hammered coats really well, orange doesn't coat. I did use some bright coat on that and the bottom trim, but I already had that. I did not have the orange. I did have the hammered black. So yeah, probably 60, 70 bucks in paint. And then the decals, so I think $200 is a pretty safe bet, but ultimately, absolutely worth it. I really love how this thing came out. So hey, if you enjoyed this content or some of the other content you've seen on my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me and it helps the channel grow. And hey, you know, if you want to buy a vintage gas pump, they're like $2,000. If you want to pay 10% of the cost, you can build your own. I just did it, and you can too. I've shown you all the steps. You know, I had to figure it out on my way as I went through it, and that's kind of the fun of the channel, is I didn't know how well this would come out. For example, the two-tone paint. I thought I was just going to repaint the cabinet black. It wasn't until I was in the process that I thought of doing the trim in orange, and man, that really makes it really makes this thing pop. So hey, you can do this as well. All you need to do is go out and get busy. Take care.